You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today on our Weight Loss and Wellness Wednesday, we're going to be talking about the two missing minerals the thyroid needs to thrive. Why is this so important? Because there is not a week that goes by in my practice that I do not see someone suffering from the symptoms of low thyroid, low metabolism. They might not have even been diagnosed with Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism. They just might feel like blah. They might have a more difficult time losing weight, keeping the weight off. Any of those reasons. They might have thinning hair. They might have brain fog. They might have difficulty kind of getting up and getting going in the morning. They might just feel sluggish overall. They might have cold hands and cold feet. They might be starting to see a little bit of thinning in the eyebrows. Maybe not as strong of hair, nails, maybe the skin's getting a little thinner as well. All of these things, many things can be associated with that thyroid. Why? Because the thyroid is one of those regulators of metabolism, regulators of metabolic rate. So when I have someone come in and they show me their blood work and they say, oh, well, my TSH is fine. It's like a 3.5. And I say, okay, your TSH, your thyroid stimulating hormone, yes, it's not out of range from a conventional medicine disease perspective, but it's certainly not optimal. And I said, have you ever been told that the optimal range for your thyroid is 0.5 to 1.5 or at the very most 2? And they say, no one's ever told me that. They just said if it's between 0.5 and 5, I'm pretty much good. And I say, well, yes, you're not diagnosed with a disease yet of hypothyroidism. And I said, have you ever run your T4 levels? And they say, no. Have you ever run your T3? No. What about your free T4, free T3? What about your TPO? What about the antibodies that could actually be destroying your thyroid right now as we speak if you've never run them? And they say, no, I haven't run those either. Well, you have to understand that you can look at things at a surface level or you can start to go deep. And when you only stay at things at a surface level, you're not going to figure out the root cause. That's why when people get mad at me on social media and Instagram, I understand that because I post something like last week, for example. If you didn't check this out, I can't recommend enough. This is a follow-up show from that. And last Wednesday, I posted the 4 toxins that slow your thyroid and metabolism. And I gave you the 4 toxins. And all you have to do is click on the link and get my free podcast for the day. And if you have thyroid issues, this teaches you exactly what you have to watch out for. Exactly what you have to watch out for. There's no cliffhangers. I give you it. But people want me to post it on Instagram. And I'm not going to post the 4 toxins. And the reason is this. The internet is all about going shallow. Okay, so let's just say I gave you the 4 toxins. I just posted what they are right on Instagram. And I can tell you're listening to the podcast, so hopefully you listened to last Wednesday's. And I just told you it was arsenic, it was mercury, it was aluminum, it was bromines. And you said, okay, great. So now you know. But what does that do? So you know the names of them? Do you know where they come from? Do you know what foods they come from contamination? Do you know how you get cadmium? Do you know how you get all of these things into your system? I mean, if you don't know, then you can't stay away from it. And then do you know how to remove them? Do you know why they affect your thyroid? It's not a lot of information. You don't need to become a scientist to figure this out. You don't have to go back to school and get, a doctoral degree or a PhD in this. But you need to know a little bit deeper than just the names, okay? So that's why today, I know that there's going to be someone who says, just tell us the 2 minerals that are missing for the thyroid. Okay, so what if I tell you the 2 minerals? I tell you that. Are you going to know what type to get? Are you going to know how much to take? Are you going to know why they're important? Are you going to know how to test to see if you're missing them in the first place? You're not. So my job is an educator first. I always have considered myself a teacher, an educator. I've always looked back at all the jobs that I've had throughout the years and what I've really enjoyed the most doing with my time. I've always enjoyed doing videos teaching people. I started doing videos literally when I was 20, I don't know how old I was, 25 or so. And that's when I was hired a bunch of years back by Diet.com and a few other companies to teach their audiences. And for The Biggest Loser, when they had to break off of that, I did videos for them. I've always loved it. It's been a passion of mine. It's just teaching. Way back when I was in high school and college, I taught sailing during the summers. One of the best jobs I've ever had. I just enjoy being able to share a few things that I know because I'm not an expert in everything. Just a couple things. This is my little niche. This is what I can help people with. And that's why everybody has their own gift, their own niche, their own whatever it might be. And you share that education with others. But I'm not going to go shallow. I'm not going to give people those little tidbits so they know what it is, but don't know anything what to do. So they can share it at a party like, oh, you might be low in this and this. Yes, but well, then what do you do? And what formula? How does it work? So that's what I want to go over today. I want to give you those 2 missing minerals, and I want to tell you why. Well, the first missing mineral for your thyroid and why it matters and why this is a follow-up to last week is because your body, with some of those toxic, remember the toxins I talked about last week? Well, those toxins can actually block or inhibit the 2 minerals I'm talking about today. And that's why you need to remove the toxins. But guess what? Besides removing the toxins, you need to add these 2 minerals into your diet or through nutritional supplements, however you choose to do it. In my profession and what I like to do and in my life, I like to get it from food and I like to get it from functional medicine, third-party tested quality nutritional supplements. I like both. I like the best of both worlds. Seems to work the best, but everybody has their own philosophy and that's okay. So I want to share with you this. Right now, the World Health Organization, not the US, but the World Health Organization is estimating that about 2 billion people are deficient in iodine. That means that maybe about 1/3 or so of the world's population has a sluggish thyroid. Why do we have low iodine? Here's a couple reasons why. Now, if you are not eating sea vegetables or things with higher iodine, you're going to have a difficult time getting your iodine levels up. There is not as much iodine in the soil anymore, which means you're going to have a difficult time getting those levels up. So really important to me is that obviously you have your iodine levels tested, but the bigger thing is this. I work with so many women who are pregnant or they're thinking about getting pregnant. They want to make sure that they're really removing a lot of the toxicities from their body, which is so smart to do. Or that they just had a child and they want to kind of get their body back. They want to get themselves healthy and balanced, be healthy for them, be healthy for the baby as well. Well, here's the thing. By the last trimester, at least, most women are deficient in iodine. And that's because during pregnancy, your T4 production, your body's production it's asking it to double. And if you don't have the raw material, we're talking about raw material today. If you don't have enough of that iodine to actually make thyroid hormone, to literally make the hormone. So how do you make the hormone if you don't have enough iodine? That's why it blows my mind when the most brilliant endocrinologists, the most brilliant doctors from conventional medicine never bother to test iodine. If you're deficient in iodine, it's a simple explanation of why your thyroid would be low. So it's a different philosophy because I know that if you just start to show that you're hypothyroidism in conventional medicine, they can just give you thyroxine or some type of drug. But, I just don't think that's the way to go because you see, people in their 20s and 30s and 40s and they're being put on thyroid medication. There's really no chance of them getting off. It's very, very challenging. And then you see a lot of women who are pregnant, then all of a sudden they get low thyroid after pregnancy. Well, hopefully it starts to make sense now from a root cause level that when you become pregnant, your body has to make more of everything, which means it needs more raw material of everything. That includes everything from more water, more iron, more B vitamins, more vitamin C, more iodine. All of these things are needed. And again, I can't stress that enough. There's always a reason why you become imbalanced. So if we're not learning why we become imbalanced, I just know that there's so many people out there that can be healed, but they've never been given this type of information. So that's my job, is to get you to understand too that iodine is needed to make the hormone, is needed for synthesis of thyroxine, which is your T4. So basically how thyroid works is this. Hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, they're up in your brain. They're telling your body to produce this thing called thyroid stimulating hormone. When the need is high enough, your body starts to produce this thing called T4 or make this thing called T4, thyroxine. From there, inside the cells is really what you need, which is the activated T3. That's what boosts thyroid levels, active thyroid levels. And that's called triiodothyronine or triiodothyronine. My English is not my strong suit here, but that's T3. That is your activated T3. You need iodine to make that. Now, where can you get this through food? Because let's talk about food right now. So your high iodine rich foods, number one is going to be sea vegetables. So it's going to be things like kelp or seaweed snacks or wakame or any of these types of things are great. They're loaded with iodine. Oftentimes, just 1 tablespoon of kelp is all that you need. That's going to give you your iodine levels. Other things that are high in iodine are cranberries, navy beans, strawberries. If you're into cheese, I don't recommend a lot of dairy, but I could be okay with some raw goat's cheese. If you wanted to go that direction, no cow's cheese, no cow's milk, but okay, goat's cheese. Potatoes are another one. A lot of people don't think about that, but your root veggies like a potato would be cool as well to eat. Now, let's go over another one. So I want to talk about the second missing mineral, and then I want to wrap things up with really how you can make this easy on yourself. The second missing mineral is selenium, or some people like to pronounce it as selenium. Why is this so important? Okay, here's the thing with selenium, because it has multiple functions. But a lot of people don't realize that, yes, you need iodine to actually make the thyroid. Like that's just super important. You need selenium to actually create the conversion. So selenium helps to convert. So it's used in the enzymes that change T4 to T3. And so if we can't activate T3, which is the most important part to have, then we're losing about 70% of the activity of thyroid hormone. And if we're not activating T3, now keep in mind, people, when they take their levothyroxine or their pharmaceutical grade thyroid, you're getting T4. So if we're getting that, and we know that that's maybe 20, 30% of the equation, and we're not activating it to T3, because that's not what that drug does, you can still be low thyroid. And that's why you think increase the dosage, increase the dosage, increase the dosage. Well, what if you just use selenium? That is a big, now B6, there's other things that are part of this, but that is huge for your thyroid right now. So that's why people get caught up with like the research in the US. I look overseas as well. I look to Germany. Germany does a lot of great studies as well. What they found right now is that, so you can say, well, someone with Hashimoto's or a lot of hypothyroidism, they might have an increased thyroid peroxidase antibodies. So antibodies against their own thyroid. People who are given 200 micrograms of selenium a day, just 200 micrograms, standard dosage, 200 micrograms. They lowered their antibodies by 2/3. This is a 2002 study. We've known this now for 15 years, but still, endocrinologists are not telling people to take selenium. And they're not telling people to use iodine. Why? There's no prescription for it. These are natural things. Where can you get selenium? Simple. 2 to 3 Brazil nuts a day. That's it. You can get your selenium right there. So if we're not letting people know this is why the thyroid can become underactive, then we can't help people heal. That's essentially the bottom line. Now, there are other things that can help your thyroid, such as zinc and tyrosine, these other things. Great. But you need selenium and you need iodine. That's your first place to start. So here's what I want you to do. I could go on and on about the thyroid. Today, I want to give you, last week I gave you the 4 toxins. We have to get rid of those. Today, I want to give you the 2 minerals you need. So you could do 2 things right now. Really simple. 3 things. I'll give you 3 things to do. Okay. First one is you could lab test. You could do the comprehensive thyroid panel. What is that? You're testing one of the best tests out there. You're going to test your antibodies. You're going to test your T4, your T3, your TSH. You're going to actually look deep into your thyroid. How well is it functioning? If you have normal TSH, fine. I don't care about TSH. Like, okay, I look at it, but I want to know what's T4, what's T3. I want to look at those. I want to look at so TSH doesn't mean much to me. It means thyroid stimulating hormone. So it's a hormone that stimulates things, tries to get things going. I want to see the usable thyroid, T4, T3. That's what that does. The comprehensive thyroid test will also test those toxins I talked about last week, okay? The bromines, it'll talk about the mercury. Amazing test to run. All in this one test. But this test also looks at iodine and selenium. It will tell you if you're sufficient or not. That I'm telling you right now, functional medicine. I didn't make any of this up, right? I didn't make up functional medicine. Functional medicine is conventional medicine lab testing, just like you would see at your MD, but it takes naturopathic and integrative measures. So it's saying, okay, yeah, we're going to run the same blood work, same tests as conventional medicine, but we're also going to use what we know from an underlying root cause, that if someone has these toxicities, these heavy metals, and someone has these deficiencies such as iodine and selenium, we're going to boost them back up. So we want to test for those. We want to test their levels. This is a very simple test to do. It's just, you literally poke your finger right at home, just like a type 2 diabetic with just a little lancet. You put some blood drops on a card, and then you use a urine card. So literally, you just urinate into a little plastic cup or so. You dip the card into it. You let it dry. You mail it in the same day. I believe it's a prepaid FedEx mailer. Super simple to do. And I can't recommend it enough. We ship these, I know, to the US and Canada at least. If you have a functional medicine doctor, you can request this lab as well. We just make it easy. If you go to StephenCabral.com/600, today is our 600th show. Look at that. So you can see how much I care about all these numbers. So go to StephenCabral.com/600, and I will link up everything in the show notes today. So our goal is to give you the power to take over your own health. You might be listening to this in Australia or Sri Lanka or Iceland, and no, we cannot mail those labs to you, but you can ask your functional medicine doctor there to run these specific tests. And you can show them the link on my website and say, I want to run these. Please help me run these. And if you're in the US, Canada, maybe the UK, I don't have to check with that. We can ship this lab to you, the same lab to you that any other doctor can get you. I will read your results. I will talk over your plan, what I'm going to have you do with my health coach, and my health coach will take you through a 30-minute call. It is the best way to start to take back control of your health. Now, can't do the lab testing for financial reasons, whatever it might be. I understand. I'm going to give everyone at every level the ability to heal. So the next thing you can do is this, is you can take the daily thyroid support. What is the daily thyroid support? It is, I call it food for your thyroid. That's basically it. So we already talked about a little bit of that food that your thyroid needs to support it. And by now, you know it's iodine. The other thing you know is it's selenium. One thing I didn't mention about your thyroid as well, is that selenium also acts as an antioxidant. I feel like that's important, that I should mention that to you as well. Because as the thyroid itself is actually making thyroid hormone, part of the cells generate something in the thyroid called hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide can create more oxidative damage. Selenium, being an antioxidant removes some of that free radical damage. That's why it's so helpful as well. It helps to have the thyroid not destroy itself as well from too much toxic byproduct of hydrogen peroxide. Really, really important as well, and something to keep in mind. So what is essentially the daily thyroid support? Well, it's thyroid food. You take 2 capsules at breakfast, 2 capsules with dinner, or 2 upon waking, 2 before bed, however you would like to take it. Usually I say take it with food, just so that it goes well with the middle of the meal. It doesn't give you any issue stomach-wise, which no one should have any issues stomach-wise, but I just always like to be on the safe side. So it gives you a lot of the nutrients that your body needs, like the vitamin C, the E, the zinc, the copper that we haven't even talked about. These are other things your thyroid needs. I just wanted to go with the heavy hitters today. And this product gives you 200 micrograms of iodine, okay? You need at least 150 micrograms a day. If you're not eating sea vegetables, you're most likely not getting enough iodine, kind of the bottom line, all right? And that gives you 200 micrograms of selenium. Why would I add 200 micrograms of selenium to my daily thyroid support? Because I read the research and I give you the dose shown by science to work. So when someone says, oh, there's no research behind that, they simply haven't done the research. That's the bottom line. So we're giving you the exact amounts. And then it has other amazing things as well, like L-tyrosine, which is going to help give you a little bit of boost in energy and dopamine and that kind of get up and go, as well as thyroid. And then it gives you the same calming things that you need to calm the sympathetic nervous system of why your thyroid might be shutting down in the first place. And that is ashwagandha. So there's a little bit of turmeric, a little bit of Google. So there's some just great products in that as well. So great product. Can't recommend it enough. We use it in our practice all the time. I will link it up in the show notes. Just go to StephenCabral.com/600. Now, let's say you can't run a lab test, which would be the best. You do the second thing, you can take your daily thyroid support, and you can't do that. So we say, okay, what can we do? Well, at least what we can do is we can try to detox, cleanse the body as much as we can of those toxins, and we can start to add in the high iodine and the high selenium food products. So we can start to add some of those sea vegetables, the kelp, the seaweed snacks, the wakame, the nori, all of those things that are going to have good sources of iodine, okay? And so that's really, really important. And then selenium, I said, well, you could use Brazil nuts. My best recommendation for selenium. You only need a couple a day, 2 or 3 a day. You're going to be getting some good selenium into your body. Again, I always like to use food as medicine, and I like to use herbs and natural minerals. Iodine is natural. Selenium is natural. So I like to use these natural minerals with food as well. That's the best of both worlds. That's how I prefer to practice natural medicine. So hopefully today's show helped. I'm always happy to do follow-ups. Remember, this show is about you. It's not about me. I am willing to teach you anything you need to know to help you, your family, your friends, your coworkers, your entire community take your health to that next level. So please feel free to reach out. Let me know how I can help. And if this show helped you, you believe it could help someone else, please feel free to share it with them. Take care, everyone. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stephencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.